Jay Binkowitz, co-founder GPN, co-founder and current Executive Vice President of Professional Relations for Kepler Vision. I also am still an industry consultant, and most importantly, Bettina's husband. Data is an incredible word. For years and years and years, traditionally, not just in our industry, but in many industries, folks made decisions from the hip. And they made decisions from instincts and did the best they could. And all of a sudden, data comes along and says, wait a second, what you thought was working is actually not working. And you're actually working harder in a place that's making you less, or taking you more, or costing you more. Without data, we really don't know how we're doing. And as such, with the advent of having access to data, understanding the relationships between the different types of data, we're able to use our time more efficiently, we're able to achieve our goals more effectively, and we're able to ultimately become successful and maintain our success because of data. Data is extraordinarily important. It's also very complex for a lot of folks. It's still complex for me after all these years, but you never stop looking at the data in order to understand how to measure, how to track, and how to set your goals and know whether or not you're making them. So in general, and as an optometrist, any professional, you have many, many different buckets of data. Marketing data, feedback data from your patients, as well as financial data. You have product data, you have service data, you have financial data. So, I mean, there's a lot of different buckets involved in that question. As an optometrist, you need to balance those buckets. You need to understand what your patients are saying about you. You need to understand how to communicate best with your patients. And that comes from data. It comes from leveraging those technologies that create the data. And aligned with that is understanding the relationship between the product you provided, the service you provided, the financial aspect of those products and services, the repetitiveness, as well as who's doing it. Right? So all the different influences that created that final interaction. So it sounds like a big puzzle, but the puzzles are a little bit easier to get to now because there's lots of ways of you seeing the data. I always say, what kind of car do you want to drive? Right? It's not a one-size-fits-all for everybody. Every doctor practices a little bit differently, and as such, everybody's looking for a very specific type of relationship with EHR technology. Intuitive, EHRs that really kind of pre-think what you're going to need, setting the stage for the end result, making it as easy as possible for you to get there in as few steps as necessary. The get up and go time for your team to train on them. All of those are, I think, components that everybody looks for. But some folks want to see certain things in a certain order. Some folks want to see in a different order. So generally, there's a little bit of flexibility in how to set the stage for your EHR to work with you. And quite frankly, we're here at the Foxfire meeting and working with Corey and the team and seeing what they're doing. I think it's an extraordinary product and service they're delivering. First and foremost, the family, the Foxfire family, sets them apart. This is, I think of Foxfire as a much more boutique, intimate, mom and pop restaurant that you might go to, where you're really going to get to talk to the chef who's the owner, and the husband and wife team that's running the place, and you're going to let them know what you want on the menu. You're going to let them know if you like that meal. You're going to have the opportunity on a very personal level to communicate with the Foxfire family and really not just be able to give feedback to what you like or maybe what you don't like, but you're going to actually be able to participate in their development so that it becomes a little bit more intimate to you on what's happening, and you could realize your ultimate goal. So for me, I think of the Foxfire family as a much more boutique approach towards the relationship they have and the products they deliver to the optometrists. GPN and Foxfire have had a wonderful relationship for years. When Corey and I met initially, it was on day one. We kind of knew we were going to do something together. Both companies' cultures are very much aligned. We both really think about what is best for the users first, and then how do we accomplish that goals. And ultimately, when we sat down and said, what's the best things that we could do together to help these doctors, and we came up with that solution, and GPN is now fully integrated and part of the services that Foxfire delivers to make the measurement and tracking of all this data and information as simple and easy as possible. So, I think the Foxfire team has done a tremendous job with delivering that and supporting that, as GPN has. Ultimately, the users of Foxfire are getting, 2 bangs for the buck.